From the PEP Radio Newsroom, we have this special report about the resignation of British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Starmer's announcement ends on an emotional note. So earlier today, Prime Minister Keir Starmer resigned, and Starmer made the announcement outside the Prime Minister's 10 Downing Street residence, his voice choking with emotion near the end of the brief statement. The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election, Starmer said. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Starmer's departure thus triggered Andy Burnham's special election victory. The popular ex-mayor of Greater Manchester planned to challenge Keir Starmer for the Labour leadership. Starmer spent the weekend pondering his future following Burnham's victory last week in a special election for a seat in Parliament. Burnham ran with the aim of challenging Starmer for leadership of the party and the country. Burnham, as of 5 o'clock this morning, was due to be sworn in as a member of Parliament today. That's already happened, by the way. It's unclear whether Burnham would face coronation or a challenge if Starmer steps aside. Wes Streeting, who resigned as health secretary last month to protest Starmer's leadership, has said that he will run in a contest if there is one. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen praised Starmer's legacy after news of his resignation in a post online on Monday. It can take many leaders years to grow into the statesman you became in just 2 years, she said on X. European and Ukrainian security is stronger because of you. Thank you, dear Keir. Meanwhile, a formal contest to replace Starmer will begin in early July. The formal contest to replace Starmer, beginning in July, could end in a matter of days. Starmer said Monday that the nominations will open on July 9th and close when Parliament breaks up for its summer recess, which is scheduled to begin July 16th. The contest will be open to members of Parliament from the ruling Labour Party. Former Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, as we've mentioned, is the leading candidate to replace Keir Starmer. The question now is whether anyone will challenge him. If there is no challenge, Burnham could become Labour leader and thus Prime Minister soon after nominations close. Even if there is a contest, Starmer said a successor would be selected by September 1st. It's important to note, Starmer is the 6th person to be British Prime Minister during the past 10 turbulent years of UK politics. When he was elected in 2024 in a landslide victory for Labour, Starmer pledged to steady the ship and end years of political chaos under his predecessors, the Conservative Party. Starmer had succeeded Rishi Sunak, who held the top job from 2022 to 2024. Before Sunak, Liz Truss resigned only 45 days after becoming Prime Minister. Truss followed 3 other Conservative Prime Ministers, Boris Johnson from 2019 to 2022, Theresa May from 2016 to 2019, and David Cameron from 2010 to 2016. Ed Davey, the Liberal Democrat leader, said Starmer's replacement would have to change, quote, our broken politics, end quote. Went on to say, the British people are sick of being let down by an endless merry-go-round of prime ministers while nothing really changes for them, he said. This time must be different. It can't just be about changing who's in number 10. It has to be about changing our broken politics so we can fix our country. Zach Polanski, who leads the Green Party, echoed that the UK needs a bold change of direction, referring to former Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham, who many expect to become the next Labour leader. Polanski said, the time for half measures and sticking plasters is long gone. If he becomes the next PM, Burnham must be bold or he will be bust. And as of 6:15 this morning, former Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham has confirmed he will run to succeed Keir Starmer as Labour leader and Prime Minister. He posted such on social media that he will, quote, put myself forward as part of this process, end quote. Wes Streeting, considered another leading contender, said he will back Burnham. That makes it more likely that Burnham will be selected without the leadership contest. In a post on X, Andy Burnham thanked Starmer for his service and leadership. He said Starmer's decision to step down marks the beginning of a transition, and it is important that this process is conducted in an orderly and responsible way. I will put myself forward as part of this process. The country expects stability, seriousness, and a continued focus on the issues that matter most, and this is what it will get. He added, people want to see progress on economic growth, cost of living, public services, housing, and opportunities for the next generation. Political change should never distract from the responsibility to improve people's lives. But the congratulations and the thank yous didn't end with Andy Burnham. Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre thanks Starmer for a strong and close partnership. I respect the decision he has made, Støre, a fellow center-left leader, said in a statement emailed by his office. I have greatly appreciated the open and close dialogue with Starmer since he became Prime Minister 2 years ago, he added. The United Kingdom is Norway's close ally in Europe, and over the past 2 years, our countries have grown even closer through important agreements on climate and energy, and not least through a historic defense agreement and our decision to purchase British frigates for the Norwegian Navy. He said that we have worked closely together to strengthen security, cooperation in Europe, and to support Ukraine. Not everybody is so happy, though. Reform UK leader calls for a general election. Nigel Farage, who leads the anti-immigration party, wrote on X that Reform demands an election, and we are ready to deliver radical change. If Labour thinks it can shove another professional politician into number 10, it has another thing coming, he said. Farage said Labour has betrayed voters' trust, citing the Starmer government's unpopular welfare and tax policies and illegal immigration as examples of the party's failings. Britain's next national election doesn't have to be held until 2029, and British politics allows parties to change leader midterm without the need for general elections. If only that were true here in the United States. Meanwhile, President Volodymyr Zelensky from the Ukraine thanks Starmer for support. Here, thank you for all of our cooperation, your support, and the joint decisions that have helped make our Europe and our protection of life stronger, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky wrote on X. The United Kingdom has been, is, and will remain among the world's leaders. Here in Ukraine, we deeply value Britain, and every meeting and every conversation we have had has always been filled with real substance. Thank you for always being in touch, always engaged, and always striving to do what is needed and what will truly help. I wish the United Kingdom and all British people every success, as well as realization of your national goals. We have confidence in Britain, Keir. You are always a welcome guest in Ukraine. There is, however, still some uncertainty as to exactly when Starmer will stand down. Starmer said he would stay in his post as sort of a caretaker prime minister until his successor is in place, and that Labour's National Executive Committee will open nominations again, as we mentioned earlier, on July 9th. Should Burnham be the only candidate, then he could be confirmed as party leader a week or so later. However, if there is a contest, then the election would likely drag on into September. Burnham has won the support of Wes Streeting, who happened to have quit as health secretary last month and had previously indicated he would throw his hat in the ring. Streeting said he would back Burnham for the later Labour leadership, saying he can win the fight of our lives against the forces of nationalism, a reference to the anti-immigration Reform UK party, whom we mentioned is led by Nigel Farage, that has overtaken Labour in the opinion polls since the July 2024 election. Other potential candidates have yet to comment on Starmer's announcement. They include Starmer's former deputy, Angela Rayner, who resigned last September over an unpaid property tax, and Al Carnes, who resigned last week as the Armed Forces Minister over Starmer's funding plans for national defense. Now, there are certain hurdles that must be cleared in order to join any contest. To join the contest, candidates must win the support of a fifth or 81 of the party's House of Commons lawmakers. Those candidates who reach that threshold or support would then have to receive the backing of 5% of local constituency parties, or at least 3 party affiliates, groups such as trade unions and cooperative societies. Eligible members of the party and affiliates would then vote for the leader using an electoral system that ranks the candidates. The winner is the first candidate to secure more than 50% of the vote. King Charles III would then invite the winner to become Prime Minister and form a government. That's our special report. As more news develops throughout the day, we will pass it along. From the PEP Radio Newsroom, I'm David Moore.